Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This video is my first of my brand new Pixar Previously series, and today we will be discussing Inside Out, and more specifically, the lost villain of Inside Out, continuing the theme from my last video, which you should totally check out by the way. Since this is my first Pixar Previously video, let me explain what this series is all about. Pixar Previously is a series which explores the long forgotten in Pixar's past, movies or ideas which have been scrapped due to one problem or another, and the series will teach you about what could have been in these Pixar movies. This week, I'm going to look at Inside Out, so let's get right into it. When Inside Out first went into production, Pete Docter, the director, imagined that there would be 5 emotions stood at the panel inside Riley's head: joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust. Before he condensed them down to just these 5, Docter spoke to many different scientists, all of which had different ideas and thoughts on human emotion, and from this research, he originally drew up 26 emotions. Concept art for these original 26 emotions were captured in the Art of Inside Out, an art book which showed very early stage drawings from the film's development. This is what some of the possible emotions looked like in early drafts, with the scrapped emotions of hope, envy, greed, shame and embarrassment, with shame on the left and embarrassment on the right, and an early version of fear between them. Love, irritation, and guilt, all featuring in the book. However, 2 emotions, surprise and trust, did not have concept art. From the concept art we see embarrassment dressed up like a teenager, a very common emotion in young people, and would have probably become more relevant as Riley grew older. However, I think due to pacing and keeping the story to just 1 year, Pete Docter saw no reason to add embarrassment in. Pride, Schadenfreude, and ennui were also considered as being emotions also, with Schadenfreude meaning to derive joy from another person's pain, and ennui meaning to have a heavy dissatisfaction or boredom for something. This can be seen in an early deleted scene where fear is knocked over by hope, leading Schadenfreude to laugh at his pain, and upon asked what ennui thought of the situation, he didn't seem very interested. Another emotion, logic, didn't have any concept art and was also cut from the film, so that Riley could have a free will and control over her emotions, and can be attributed, in a guess from me, to the scene where Riley runs away from a home. As if logic was included in this scene, perhaps the idea may not have come about to begin with, or establish Riley more as a character in relation to her emotions. However, even of the emotions that did end up in the film, there was a major change to them too, as the original idea for the emotions' names was not to name them after which emotion they represent, but rather give them human names. For example, before Joy and Sadness became the leading duo who went on the adventure together, it was Joy and Fear, who at the time was originally named Freddie. Pride's name was Preston, Anger's name was originally Ira, and Disgust's name went from Nadia to Gretchen to eventually Disgust. However, Pete Docter ended up deciding that it became too confusing for people to keep track of what emotion had what name, and quickly scrapped the idea of the names. So now you know more about the emotions, some that were scrapped and some that were kept but made slight modifications on. However, there is one emotion I haven't mentioned yet, and it answers the question I posed in my previous video, in which I had an idea for the villain of Finding Dory, as it was the only Pixar film to not have a villain. However, there was another movie that didn't have a villain. I originally put Jangles the Clown for the villain of Inside Out, but he is just a minor antagonist. much like the giant squid was in Finding Dory. No, there is more. Another villain. That villain was one of the scrapped emotions that we haven't met yet. However, is the only scrapped emotion to have a slight appearance in the finished movie. And that emotion was gloom. Gloom was meant to be the main antagonist of Inside Out, before he was scrapped. Again, early concept art was drawn up for him. Gloom's final goal was to take over Riley's brain and prevent Joy from coming back to headquarters. He was meant to manipulate anger, to take the idea of running away and implement it into Riley's head. He was an embodiment of Riley losing all her islands one by one, and experiencing extreme waves of sadness as she tried and failed to adapt to her life in San Francisco. As the film went on, Gloom was meant to grow in size, starting off as a small blob and growing bigger in what I can only assume is as Riley loses her islands of personality. However, upon being reviewed by Pete Docter again, he realised that it personified depression too much, and that when the climax of the film came and gloom dissipated, the team did not want to trivialise the impression that depression went away that easily, and was rightfully scrapped from the film. However, Gloom actually does make an appearance in the movie. Sort of. Gloom appears in the scene where the darkness takes over the console, Riley finalising her idea and her emotions now having no control over her. This is how Gloom appears in the movie. So that answers the question. The villain of Inside Out is Gloom, or this black energy that we see in the movie anyway. The original plan from the director of the movie was to have Gloom be the villain, and therefore we now have a full 22 Pixar movies with a villain. I hope that you enjoyed this video of Pixar previously, and I hope that you will like this series as I progress with it. And as I am learning about these modifications and scrapped ideas, I hope that you are too. Please don't forget to give this video a like, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you enjoy Pixar related content like this. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.